everybody. Sorry about that. 2 minutes late. One clock saying one thing, the other saying something else. Welcome, everybody. Hey, welcome. Tracy Allen, living in my truth. Today is Wednesday. It comes so fast, but I love it. Puts me in the zone. Yeah. To be able to share strengths and hopes with everybody and hear comments, and know that you're enjoying, the live show, because I'm truly enjoying it, and it's growing. That's the blessing from it. I got to try to put it on it up, pop right up. I tell y'all, sometimes this thing just do what it want to do, but I'm okay with it. This is a every week thing. Y'all know how that works. Yeah. Welcome. I'm gonna wait for you all to start popping on. Today is Wednesday. This topic is going to, I think I'm gonna label this one, getting ready to level up. Hey, Kiana. Hey, make sure you get in touch with your friend so I can talk to him tonight. Matter of fact, call him, tell him to come on. Join us on the live. It's getting a little nippy in here, y'all. A little nippy outside. That's Kiana again. Hey, Teresa. Always here. How you doing, sweetheart? Thanks for coming on and showing up as usual. Ralph Wilson. Yeah, I got his name. I got everything down. Yeah. I just wrote it down again right in front of me. Thanks, Emil. Love it when they want to come on, and I know he'll be something nice. Trees, good evening, Jason, everyone. Hey, girl. Hey, Pam. How are you? Thanks for showing up tonight. Celine Chambers, thank you for showing up tonight. We're going to have a good live tonight. I feel like I need to release some things. We all, need to release. Oh, that's Rudolph. Okay, Rudolph Wilson. All right, I'm sorry for saying the name wrong. He just joined. Hey, Rudolph. How you doing? We gonna chat tonight. You know what I mean? So we can get you on the couch. Okay? Thanks for coming on, and thanks for even wanting to be, a part of our family, on the couch. You told me to invite him? Oh, shit. Now you going into stuff, Kiana. Trees, always blessed, baby. Always blessed. Woke up blessed. Here's some stars for all of you all for showing up. I don't know why mine is it working? Definitely some stars for showing up. Let me see if that's me doing that. I think so, maybe. It might be me. Yeah, thank you. Love y'all. Y'all know I'm still about them hearts. Don't think I'm not. I love hearts and still about the hearts. And y'all look Hi, Celine. Did I say hello? Hey, I'm asking you all to send stars, okay, if you can. I would appreciate it. You know, it matters. You know, I know at one time I told you I'm not worried about all that stuff. It don't matter, but it does. You know, I'm learning more and more and more about this thing, and it seems to be doing, you know, better and pretty good. Key, what you say? You look beautiful. Oh, thank you, Kiana. It's just a shirt, child. Shirt blings. That's all. But you like my gray? Girl, I'm feeling sexy with my little gray hair. Loving it. Hey, my best friend, Angie. Mwah. Love you, security. Everybody's security's on. I am never going to let you have that name, because that is what she is. She love her sister. That's for real. She love her sister, you know, and I love her more. I hope everybody is feeling blessed today. You know, I know I woke up feeling pretty darn good, you know, just because God opened those eyes up, y'all. You know, I'm going to have a pretty nice live tonight. You know what I mean? I'm still in my bag, y'all. Y'all know sometimes once I get to talking about things, I get to rolling, you know, and going, you know, with this. Everything I say, I mean, and it all comes from the heart authentically. You know what I mean? Real. You know, I don't make this stuff up, you know. I hope that anybody and everybody who's trying to get clean and trying to understand addiction and recovery, you know, are getting what they need to hear from this. You know, I'm gonna start naming these, even though they're on the YouTube with names. And don't forget, you can catch from the beginning up until, she's probably putting more on now. And I know it had to be like about maybe 60 episodes on there. What you say, Ann Security, love you. I know that's right. I just titled this one because this is what I feel in my heart. It just said, get ready to level up. You know what I mean? You know, because this thing goes by levels. You know what I mean? And everybody just, you know, don't get it. We get stuck in some areas. You know what I mean? Because it's not a simple thing to do. It's hard, you know, for some and harder for others. You know, some call it simple. Hey, God bless you. You know, but I know I had to really, really, really fight the power to get, you know, to even surrender and say that I had a problem. What was that? Hey, girl. KK, if you don't mind. Hey, Tracy, so far so good, but I still need your help always. Your advice helped a lot. We'll be getting back to you. Yeah, because I was worried. You know what I mean? I didn't know what, but I said, you said you would call me back, and I had trust in that you would. And I've been praying real hard for you, girl. Real hard for you, girl. And you keep praying. You know what I mean? Just don't give up. Don't give up. You know? Last week, I was talking about perfect timing. You know what I mean? It's perfect timing. It's going to be perfect timing. You know, but this week, you know, should be pretty helpful, you know, because I'm going to base this on get ready, you know, to level up. You know what I mean? It's just what we have to do and what we have to understand and go through, you know, to get this thing on the roll, you know, called surrendering, you know, called recovery. And, you know, sometimes it can be scary. Well, ain't no sometimes. It's scary. You know what I mean? You know, men don't try to act as if it is, but it's scary. You know what I mean? It's fear. You know, it takes a lot, you know, because, you know, when you're challenged by something that you can't beat and you don't understand, you know what I mean? And it's just taking you down, 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 and you really want to stop, but you just don't know how, you know, because your way is not working. You know what I mean? It speaks for itself. You got to have some help. You got to have some type of guideline. You know what I mean? You know, and that's what we're here for in NA and AA, you know, to help, you know, the still suffering or the next suffering addict to learn how to get themselves clean. You know, and you notice I say get themselves clean because we can't get them clean. We can only give them hope, strength, inspiration, admiration, all of that to help them, you know, to try to get the understanding of this. That's why I call my language our language. You know what I mean? I've always been a counselor for all these years, 39 years, and I've always spoken the language of an addict. Always. You know, because that's how I know how to do it. That's how I understand it the most, because I am a recovering addict. You know what I mean? And I just like to simply say I'm an addict. You know what I mean? In recovery. You know, people say, girl, you don't need to be saying, yes, I do. You know, they don't understand, but I will always explain it this way. And I will always know for my own recovery that I'm a sick individual. You know what I mean? And I have a sickness that's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And this thing is very, very, very smart, you know, and very, very, very tricky. And it lives in me, you know, because it is me. You know, it was an open door that I allowed this vicious disease to step inside and take total advantage of me until I learned, you know, what it is and how it works. You can't fight something that you don't know what it is. You got to even know how it works and what it do and why it do it, you know, because it do it, you know. So this is why we share, you know, with the still suffering or the next person, you know, that wants to get clean, you know, our strengths and hopes and our experiences, you know, so that you can get to be introduced to disease, because it sure enough gave you a beautiful introduction. And then it did what it do. You know what I mean? So, you know, with all of us, you know, that are in recovery, you know, and all of us that have some spiritual awakening, you know what I mean, and have love, sympathy, and empathy in our hearts, you know what I mean, are the perfect people to try to help the still sick, you know, and the still suffering. Anybody who's dealing with, you know, addiction of any kind, you know, and a situation, you know, we have to have an open, loving heart ourselves, you know, and be real about it, you know, instead of corny. You know what I mean? You got a lot of people that's faking it to make it. You know what I mean? A lot of people like to look good, sound good, because they're doing the opposite of what you're doing. You know, but somewhere inside, you know, they can use some information and education too. You know what I mean? I don't exempt anybody, you know, anybody for what I've learned, you know, through my daily day of recovery and my daily day of learning about this thing, about life, period. You know how they're saying that life is life, and you know what I mean? Hey, well, I'm trying to keep up to see how much more life is coming towards me, especially when it's the freaking devil. You know what I'm saying? And it's that daggone disease. I'm trying to stay on top of it. You know what I mean? For my own life, not only for my own life, but for your life too. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because we got to keep up. We got to keep up with it. We got to keep up with the new feelings, the new things, you know, the way it's coming, how it's coming, who is coming through, you know, where it's coming from, you know, the whole 9 yards, you know. So that's why we all are such powerful, powerful messages. You know, we're powerful people who can fight this disease, you know, and keep our grounds up. You know what I mean? We don't always have to be down. You know what I mean? Even though some look at us down all the time, knowing that we up. You follow what I'm saying? That's neither here or there, little stuff. You know, as far as I'm concerned, but for a newcomer, it means a lot. For a newcomer, disease don't allow us to sink into the fact that you're talking about us. You know what I mean? You know, and you don't trust us, and you know, we don't have no medication in us yet to understand. Even on top of that, the ones that are on medication, you know what I mean? Like the suffering that's out there that's getting high, if you're on medication, drugs gonna take you off of them. You follow what I'm saying? So that person still may not be stable mentally. And that's what this is all about. You know, getting ready to level up, you know, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, you know, and financially. You follow what I'm saying? All the things that this thing has taken, believe me, is coming back when you surrender. It's coming back when you start taking this medication and understanding what you're living with, what you're dealing with, and that is never going anywhere. You know what I mean? I thought that was a pretty good topic like I was saying, I'm gonna start putting topics on this thing. Yo, I'm growing. I'm telling you, I'm learning. I even put it on myself. Yes, I did, and I'm grateful for that. It might be simple for some, but hey, look, I didn't know that you could do that or how to do it, but I do now, because my most important thing is putting this information out here. You know what I mean? And it's coming straight from here. You follow? And here, you know, and here. And that's the most important thing for me, you know. All this fancy technology stuff is okay, you know what I mean? Once I catch on, I'm going to be on, you know what I mean? So y'all have patience with me for all of that, okay? But no, on Wednesdays night, as long as God blessing, I'm going to be on here with this always, and this always, you know? So that's just me. You follow? You know, like I said, it's all coming. Don't rush anything. You know what I mean? We get very anti and anxious and all that when we do finally get, you know, somewhat of belief and trust in, you know, learning how to get clean. You know, I know learning how to get clean is a beautiful feeling. I tell you, it starts so beautifully, you know, but yet it's still scary and it's still spooky. You know what I'm saying? But we have to understand what disease is and how it works. You follow? And how it works. Yes, we walk the walk. You follow? That's just one thing. Now, we have to understand why it did what it did to us and how it did what it did to us by turning us out. So learning to listen, to hear, so you can see is a must. You know, I say these things all the time because they're so important. I say these things all the time. Sometimes I sound like, oh yeah, here she go, saying that same old stuff. Well, let me tell you this. Repeating the truth is going to help somebody else become truthful. You understand what I'm saying? Repeating these things all the time is going to help somebody hear it, you know? And then they'll get to see it. You follow? It's never too much of this or too much of that. It's always just enough. Nobody has everything. Nobody knows everything. You know? Nobody's perfect. You know? We're just surviving. That's what we're doing. We're surviving. You know? So, can't put myself bigger than you, higher than you, thinking I know more than you, because I am just like you. You know? So I offer what I have to try to help you to learn how to help yourself. Because that's the only way it can be done. You know, straight to the point, straight to the situation. You know, yesterday is really a hard time and a spooky time. Yesterday is what haunts us. You know what I mean? Yesterday is what stays right here in that head. You know, that is the hardest piece of that puzzle to get out, and we put it in the right spots. It has the most pieces that are broken as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? You know that puzzle I talk about, that matrix. You know what I mean? And the pieces that comes from, you know, yesterday, oh my gosh, what we became is the part that haunt us, get in our way, and try to stop us from dealing with today and have hope for tomorrow. You know, so, you know, I speak, you know, pretty much big on that. You know what I mean? And, you know, with those 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, which saved my life, you know, period, and still saving my life to this day and gave me a life to live, you know, as long as I did as it said and believed what it was saying, you know, and everything it promised me, it definitely is doing. You know, when I spiritually surrendered, you know, and turned my will and my life over to the care of God, you know, as He understood me, you know, definitely definitely was scary. You know what I mean? Coming from my world, what I told y'all, a bit about me, being so confused, angry, and mad, not understanding God, that first step was very hard, because you told me don't mean that I was going to trust in that and I was going to believe that, this thing would work for me, because see, yesterdays took over. You follow? The Matrix took over. You know what I mean? And it was so hard for me to even want to say that I know I can trust in him on my own. See, I needed that help. I needed, people who can explain things to me. You can give me books all day long. Disease kept my interest from even reading them. You know what I'm saying? And just because I read it don't mean I believe it. But hands-on work for me very much. And that's even to this day, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kind of like used to that, and I function very, very easily, like, much better, hands-on, even though I read today, I still have that ability to, I'd rather you give me the video than the damn book. You know what I'm saying? Come on, just talk to me. Just talk to me and I'll get this thing better. To each his own. What works for you, work for you. And before I can, I say before I learned how to pray, I had to come to believe first. That's just how it worked for me. I had to feel that thing. I had to make sure that, I'm feeling it, I guess this could work, you know what I mean, in my spiritual part of me, and then mentally, before I can actually speak out, I had to learn how to listen. So that's where NA and AA came in for me both. You know what I mean? Because I feel that I'm definitely an addict. You know what I mean? But because I've drank too, you know what I'm saying? I understand the fact of being an alcoholic, because it wasn't too much different. I just didn't have a lot of the drama, in drinking than I did in smoking cocaine. I had to, I went to NA and AA for that reason. I went to NA so that I could speak. I went to AA so I could learn how to listen. And that's where I got my listen abilities from, in my recovery. So I went to both NA and AA. To me it's all, coming from the same thing, same purpose, the same thing. It's just saying drinking and drugging. You know what I mean? For me today, I don't get all mantled up in all of that and make separations of it. I know the tradition, and that's okay. But change is constant, and there's nothing constant but change in my life. You know what I mean? And like they say, once I, get into my recovery and get my recovery, it's mine. And however it works for me is the way it's going to work for me. And I'll give you that same information. Whatever works for you is going to work for you. You know what I mean? And what works for you may not work for the next person. So I'm understanding these things very clearly today because I've listened. I learned how to listen, and I hear so much that says the same thing to me. You know what I mean? And it works for me. And then, the part of being anxious, we like to jump back on our feet, and, the first thing we want to do, like a lot of people do in rehab. They sit, they get so excited because they're dealing with emotions that they haven't felt in so long. You know what I mean? But they don't know that they're winning because that's a big breakthrough. Anything that makes you feel, and you can feel it, and it makes you feel good, believe me, that is a winner. That is a winner. I don't care if it's for the moment. It's a win. You understand? Because we got to win our lives back. We got to win our thinking back. We have to win our emotions back. You know, and when you get just a peek of it that's in there to make you feel good, or somebody is sharing for you and you get chills all on your bones, you know what I mean, your skin, that's a win. You hear me? And when you have a win that comes along, it's starting to weaken the enemy. It's starting to weaken disease. You know, we have to weaken, we have to keep bamming it, keep bashing it. We have to keep feeling emotions and keep feeling good and get strong and start not fearing it. You know what I mean? And stand up to it. You follow what I'm saying? Because every time you do, being honest with yourself, it weakens disease. It weakens disease because you're starting to learn how it works. You're starting to learn what it feels like. You're starting to break out all of what disease done took from you. You follow what I'm saying? And won't allow you to feel, because don't forget the first thing it took from us was our emotions. You follow? Locked our emotions down. You know? Then let us have the opportunity to know that it been took our thinking. You know what I mean? It just needed to get to the emotions in order to conquer us. That was nice. I know that's what it did to me. You know what I mean? I understand the little beast now. You know what I mean? Trey something else. She ain't right. She's something else. She did that thing nice. You hear what I'm saying? And I never saw it coming. I never felt it coming. I never expect for it to come. But guess what? About time she let me know she was there, it already exists. How about that? You know? But before we can actually get like in a financial situation, you know, you have to learn how to be able to earn money, to earn your rights, to earn this information. You know what I mean? That is given to you. You know, because it's nothing better than recovery. Meaning that our life and what we end up valuing more is our life of recovery. Comes first. You know what I mean? Money, don't forget, is the root of all evil for an addict. Money will take you far. Money will break you down and beat you up. You know what I mean? We'll get into that another time about, you know, it ain't nothing wrong with letting somebody else who you love and trust manage your money. Trust me. Disease is strong when it comes to financial stuff, money. Get money, making money, you know, because we still make money, you know, in our sickness. We just make it in a sick way. You know what I mean? We earn the name called hoe. We earn the name called tricking. We earn that name. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get to understand our language when it comes to this. And I'm trying to compare it into normal lifestyles. You follow? And so that you can see that it's so much that we have to learn about disease, you know, this vicious sickness that we have in order to live our lives, you know, in a normal way of living. And in a normal way of living that has become for me is my higher power. You know what I mean? Praying, you follow, and just following the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. You know, I don't have to go around looking like that's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? But believe me, that's what I'm doing every single day, all day. You know, even emotionally, you know, feelings are your emotions. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about the positive ones and the negative ones. We all got it. We all got it. You know, and we get emotional. You know, and without let me, how can I put that? Without it, the attachment of them both is reckoned. You know what I mean? You know, this disease will take your emotions and use the positive against the negative, and then the negative against the positive. That's kind of like a norm, like people even in normal life that just don't, see that. It don't have to be the, the drug and the alcohol, that does that to you. It could be other things that you're dealing with, or other addictions, or situations, or, problems that you had. Hey, Rosetta, how you doing? Just so happened to look up and see your name, sweetie. Thanks for being on. This thing can be so complicated, right? For the ones of you that are trying to stay clean, ones of you that are clean, the ones of you that are still suffering, is a very complicated situation. I just went through some of these things. I kind of jot things down now so I can stay on track and really what I'm trying to say and give it to you in an order that you can understand. I'll put a note down, but then I flow off the note. So just know that. Because writing is your best friend. I'm going to tell you, you can't go wrong with writing. I was taught that as well. And that has helped me to become who I am today as well. It gets so difficult with a lot of this, because it's a lot. It's a whole lot, and it's a whole lot of steps you have to go through with these, your spiritual self, your mental self, your emotional self, your financial self and all that, you know what I mean? And it can become so much, and disease will mangle it all up in your head. You could be feeling good today, because every day is a new day. But tomorrow, you could be feeling different. You know what I'm saying? So this is why we take it one day at a time. When we get through a day and we are still sober and we still haven't in us to say we're going to get clean and we're not going to do this thing no more, we whoop disease butt. You know what I mean? We're winning. You know what I mean? But it might not feel like that the next day or later on that day. Hey, Lauren, or later on that day. And then you'll be saying, man, this is too much. Somebody could say something wrong to you, or something can happen that just don't go wrong, or it just happened. Poof! Just like that. That's how cunning, baffling, and powerful disease is. And then before you think about quitting, continue to give it a try. All you can do is try. Recovery is something that is not easy and can be very difficult. It's going to be some difficult times in it throughout your whole life. You know what I mean? Hell, I still got some to this day. Sometimes I want to do something, or say something, you know what I mean? But I know my thinking is most important to me as well. That's what is the engine now of my train. You know what I mean? I got to keep my thinking right. You know what I mean? And it just makes you feel like sometimes, bull, I want to put this thing down and I want to do this or I want to do that. You know what I mean? But my medications, with the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, I have to go into my serenity prayer, and that levels me off. That makes me make sense when I follow the structure, directions of the 12 steps, and the literatures, from NA and AA, and I'll call people and I talk to people. I have certain people that I do that with that sometimes I'm calling them and they don't even know what my situation is. And then I have some people like security. Security could tell. She could just tell easily if something is bothering me. My other Marta, same way. They could tell when something is bothering me, and that's just that contact that our Father give us when they put people in your life. You know what I mean? That loves you. My sister, they know certain things about me that my friends don't know. You know what I mean? But all of them are there in place for where they need to be. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Like some families don't understand why. Well, why you be, why you tell them more? Why you be around them more? Unless you're going through what I'm going through, you won't understand it. I can't deal with the fact of you feeling like I don't love you more than I love them. I love them for a reason. I love them because they need to be in my life. I love them because my Father put them in my life for a reason. You know what I mean? But you have to be reasonable, to understand that I'm a sick person. And some people won't see that through me today. You know what I mean? Some people don't see that, oh, I need to be like this, or I'm just trying to, I'm just favoritism and all this kind of stuff. You know what? That's weight. That's weight. My God also gave me the ability to have the wisdom to know the difference. You understand? And I have to use that. That is a power tool. That is a power tool for a recovering person. And that's what I mean by it could be family, friends, aunt, uncle, the preacher, the people at the church. I don't care who it is. You follow what I'm saying? What I have to do for me is what I have to do for me. And if you don't understand that because you don't choose to by your own opinion, you understand what I'm saying? I'm going to have to live with you and let God. You know what I mean? It ain't going to make me upset with you no more, but I have the wisdom to know the difference, and I'll give you as much time as you need. You know what I mean? To understand my way of living today. You know what I mean? Understand my religion. My religion is those 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. You know what I'm saying? My religion is the highest power that you can, anybody can possibly have, and that's God. You know what I mean? But how I receive him and the way that I have to live my life as an addict that I will be for the rest of my life, if you can't understand that, I understand that. But for what I need to do for me has to be done. That's another reason why this show is on air, because some people don't get it. They don't understand it, And like I said, one day at a time you will. If your heart is there and your love is there, you have to open up and understand a person for who they are. You know what I mean? Mother, father, sister, brother, grandma, whomever. Friends. So when the weight, you add weight on a person. In my lifestyle, even in the regular people, period. You add weight, but you want to have the respect, and you don't want to hurt people. You know what I mean? Because you learn empathy, you learn sympathy, you learn how to love. You want to keep that love strong. You know what I mean? Just having all this in you makes you feel beautiful. It makes you feel, powerful. It makes you feel the change that you have made in yourself. You know what I mean? Some people will never look at your change. They're going to always see you through the change. You understand? And what it was. You know what I mean? That's big. Always. You follow me? They're going to always have something to say why you did this and when you did this. And I don't trust her. She ain't all this. You don't have to trust me. You don't have to trust me. Because guess what? I trust me. God trusts me. You understand? I got people, places, and things in places called NA and AA who trust me. You know what I mean? I have 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous that I trust. You know what I mean? That taught me how to trust me. You understand? I have tools that I work with today. You know what I mean? I don't allow people to get up inside me because I know disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. I know it is. And I know it comes through people, places, and things. And I can't let that get in the way. That's a power medication for me. For any of us as recovering addicts, we got to always keep that first. We got to think before reacting. That's just a part of the medication and a part of the way that we get better. The part of the way that we have our understanding and how to deal with you. Which is a choice. Just like getting high was a choice. A choice is whether or not I'm going to let you be in my life or not. If you can't respect me. Now, I'm not telling anybody things that I've done to you that you have to forgive me. Hey, God forgave me. You know what I mean? And I forgave me. And I'm sorry that you don't forgive me. You know what I mean? But that don't mean I exclude you out my prayers, though. I pray for everybody. You know what I mean? And I also have the wisdom to know the difference, to understand that. You know, so I'm learning real big on that. You know, I had to go through some things to be able to say this to you. You know, and understand, and I'm okay with it. I really am. I'm okay with it, because God gonna see too whatever is needed and whatever is fit is gonna be fit. That's what I believe in. You know. But I'm gonna say to y'all, before you give up, and continue to die, you must change your thoughts to live. So when you give up, and you start getting doubts, it's because you're either not working harder, or you're losing the belief, you're missing the lifestyle, because disease will make you emotionally feel like you are. It'll make you feel like you're weak, especially when you got people coming at you just for what I explained to you. You know what I mean? Disease comes through people, places, and things, and words, because words are vicious. You know what I mean? You have to understand that, how vicious people can be with words. You know what I mean? And sometimes, they don't even know they're being that vicious, but most of the times they know that they are. Don't let that get in your way. We have to learn how not to let that get in your way. And we can't feel sorry, and put the fact of, yesterday into today, and start thinking like, well, I did do this or I did do that. Well, what are you doing today? This is our war, to learn to live one day at a time. This is part of our war. This is part of our life that disease don't want us to fulfill. You know what I mean? You're winning. You're winning when you get there. You may not feel like it, but trust me, you are. So don't quit. Don't quit on those ill feelings. Hey, Dar, don't feel. What'd you say, Ann? CBT, getting it in, ain't it? Listen, cognitive behavior therapy, that's what that means. CBT, y'all, vicious. Awesome. You know what I mean? She and I both did this training. We was going crazy in that training, because it was just what people like me needed, in there. Man, I was more excited for me, than learning everything. I was so glad I was getting all that strength and hope, boy, I tell you. So, and I spread that thing very widely. And guess what, y'all? Well, I'm talking like maybe 15 years ago, we had that training. And guess what's one of the lead trainers today? CBT. You know what I mean? They finally brought it in, you know what I mean? And started using it. Ain't God good? And started using it in the rehabs. It is such an awesome, awesome program. Definitely. It speaks more of our language, you know what I mean, than some of all the, other stuff. You follow? It talks about the things that we do, you know what I mean, as an addict, you know what I mean? And it explains how we can fix it, basically. I love CBT. I love it to death. But yeah, you can't give up, because if you give up, you die. You know what I mean? Jails, institutions of death. You follow what I'm saying? But if you keep, you must change your thoughts about all of it and get the understanding so that you can live. Living is the thing. We live. You follow what I'm saying? Say it to yourself 1,000 times. I don't care how many times you say it. Just keep saying it. Even especially when you get down, say, nope, I'm going to live. I'm going to live. And remember, this was said to me. They said this was going to happen. That's how I learned it. I kept saying, somebody said that. They said that in the room. Everything I got, I caught it in the rooms too, y'all. I'm telling you, from people's stories. This is why I share my story. The stories are important. Your stories will help us. That's how Bill and Bob got together. They shared each other's stories and they came up with this. You know what I'm saying? One day at a time, and look at the people that it has helped. You know what I mean? And that's what I call two true scientists in my book. Sobriety don't mean to be that you have to be strong either. You know what I mean? Every single day. You're going to get whooped. You know, like you in a ring with disease. You know what I'm saying? And it already done took your emotions and took your thinking and broke it up into these puzzles. This is the fight up here in the Matrix now. You know what I mean? To try to get the emotions to agree with the, you know, with the brain. You understand what I'm saying? And put the piece in the right place. You know what I'm saying? And it works on you. It works on you. It gets you angry some days, and it makes you feel strong one minute, and then the next minute, disease is cunning, babbling, and barreling. It know how to knock you out too, so don't forget that. It ain't fighting you. Yo, absolutely. It still has control. You're just learning how to take the power back. You know what I'm saying? And start feeling and thinking again. You know what I mean? You know, the sobriety is great. You know, but you ain't going to be walking around like this every day. Some days you'll be crying. Some days you don't want to be bothered. You know what I mean? Some days you're going to still be angry, you know? But long as you don't use pick up and quit, you're winning. Just always know that. You are winning. It is not a good feeling just because you just went and surrendered. You know, because like I said, disease is going to fight you forever. You know what I mean? But long as you say one word, 2 letters, 1 syllable, no, and you don't quit, you are winning. You are still on top of the fight. You understand what I'm saying? Because like I said, a lot of this, as you go along, you know what I mean, to heal, because that's what we'll be doing. We'll be healing. You know what I mean? I'm still healing to this day. You know, you're winning. Just know that you are winning. Even though you feel bad, you're winning as long as you don't give in. As long as you don't give in. Just follow the directives. Follow those directives. You hear me? Follow those steps. Make meetings. You know, they say, you know, if you make 90-90, you know what I mean? You getting on top of your game. I did 3 90-90s in 90 days. And that's making a meeting 90 days, every day a meeting. I went to 3 meetings a day. I was hungry. I was hungry. That recovery thing hit me to excitement. I got excited. You know what I mean? I got very interested in what I was hearing because I wasn't hearing those type of things. I was hearing nothing but crazy negative sounds, thoughts, you know, directives, you know what I mean? Couldn't think, you know, couldn't do nothing good. You know, my head was just in a maze. It was horrible. It was stuck, you know, where, you know, the thinking wasn't working. You know what I mean? And when I got into the rooms and into the rehab and everything, I started just seeing people and listening, and then I started hearing, you know, I started beating up on my pride, surrendering, you know what I mean? And I started feeling comfortable around these people who has been through what I'm going through, you know, at that particular time, and hearing the stories and how awesome they was. You know, nobody was talking about me. Nobody was bringing me down. You know, nobody was making me feel like I was a piece of shit. It was disease still making me think that that's what's happening to me because that's what I felt I was anyway. You know? Crazy. This thing is crazy. You know? Again, sobriety don't mean that you have to be happy every single day. Of course we want to be. You know, hell, I ain't happy every single day now. You know what I mean? Everybody goes through something. You know, something is always in the way. You just have to be aware of how you answer it and how you deal with it. You know? It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel broken. It comes with the recovery, actually. It comes with the protocol. You know, like I said, we just don't jump into, you know, the steps and everything is fixed. You know, you have to come to believe in it and you have to put the work in it and learn how it works. And we have a part of that in NA meetings on how it works. You know what I mean? But my thing is to learn what disease is and how it works. I always give my opinion of it, and I call it DIS ease is when we're going through all of this because we're uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Sometimes we can be comfortable, but dis-ease is that feeling that becomes uncomfortable. So you have to recognize it. You know what I mean? Because I spell that DIS/EASE, you know, until we get to full understanding of how disease work, and then disease become understood. But we got to get the slash out of the middle, because that's the roller coaster ride that we're riding. That's these emotional, you know, waves that we're on. That means the frustration that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? This thing is vicious. It's a beast. You know, and like I said, it's not easy to just, you know, put it to the side. But this is how disease works as well. It'll make you feel like you got this. Really. It feels so good when you get to being able to feel, you know, and being able to start making some rational decisions. You know what I mean? Disease will trap you up and act as if, okay, you okay. You know what I mean? Never trust it. Always use your medication and be aware of the voice and the sound of how disease works. Because that's what it comes to. And don't forget, it's a silent killer. And it'll lay back silent for a while. You know what I mean? But it'll always show up somehow. Physically, mentally, or spiritually. That was nice. It's the truth, though. You know? You just can't give up on, you know, times that don't feel right. You know, or don't feel good. This is why I'm here. This is why we as recovering people share our informations of what we know and what it has done to us. You know, so you could be aware of what it could possibly do to you or is coming, you know, one way or the other. You follow? You know, that's, if you don't give up and you recognize how disease works, you have to, you'll start paying more attention to your emotions, your feelings, you know what I mean? You know, whether or not this is the right surroundings for you to be around, or these are the right people that you need to be around. You know what I mean? You'll have people that'll be telling you, you know, you're going to be all right, you're going to get, you know, you'll get through this, you strong. Not right now, you're not. You're weak as shit. You know what I'm saying? Disease is silent. I'm telling you, it's silent. And don't forget, it works through people, places, and things. It's like a whole lot we got to remember. This is why we say take it one day at a time. I'm shooting it off. I'm shooting it off because I'm giving information. You know what I mean? But you got to do these things one day at a time. It starts with a day. You know what I'm saying? It starts with a day for all of us. You know, and you can't rush yourself with any of this, but disease will make you feel like you feel so good that you'll be rushing and you don't even realize that you're rushing. You know what I mean? This is where a sponsor comes in at. This is where, you know, making those meetings, you know what I mean, and being around recovery people comes in that, so they can help you. You know, you can't take it on like negativity. You know what I'm saying? You got some people that get clean and can't accept corrective criticism. Oh, that's one of the biggest things in this thing. You can't accept corrective criticism, but you can shout shit out your mouth that you don't need to be shouting out. You know what I mean? Because in your head, disease got you thinking lockdown like you right, and you can't get out this storm. You still in the storm. You still in the storm. If you stunt your growth and stay where you are, you still in the storm. You didn't get through yet. You know what I'm saying? And you believe because you achieved this and you achieved that and you got this and you got that, but you still stuck. You still stuck. You have to be open-minded. You have to be open, ready to understand. You have to accept the things you cannot change the things you can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. You understand? Love is going to make you feel and want all of that. You know, and you think you can love yourself, but if you don't allow yourself to be loved and to get what love is all about, you still stuck in the storm. I don't care what you got. You're still stuck in the storm. So you got work to do. You know what I mean? There's many people out there because they feel like they done got back on their game, got back on their toes. They doing this, they doing that. Still lying, you know, because we're liars. We are unconditional liars. You know what I mean? We have to learn how not to lie anymore in order to tell the truth. You know what I mean? Because the truth is going to set you free. Trust me when I tell you that. But when you stuck and you don't want to surrender that you're stuck, disease is winning. It's going to tear you down again. You better get it right. You better know that you don't know everything. You better know that disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and it is in you for the rest of your life. It don't stop to learn. It don't for you to learn. It don't stop, you know, because you done got to this level. It wants you to stay stuck. It wants you to stay in that storm. Now, I know you see the storm on the other side, where there's some sunshine and there's some beautiful things going on. You just haven't quite got there yet because you feel as though you got enough. And don't challenge disease in that way. You understand? You got to break through this storm, and you have to make the changes that are needed to be changing, and you have to read those 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous over and over and over again until you surrender to what you are missing. How about that? Because some of us see what you're missing. You understand what I'm saying? You just don't see. You don't hear. So you don't even know how to listen. You understand? Disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. Cunning, baffling, and powerful. You know? And the ones of us that's in recovery that knows that, well, who's enabling that type of thing with a person is doing that person no justice. I'm just going to say that. You know? Sometimes we got to walk away. Sometimes we have to live and let God. You know what I mean? Because, see, we're not powerful enough to fight disease in you and me. We only have enough power to fight it in ourselves because it's personal. You understand what I'm saying? It starts with you and it's going to end with you. You understand? But this is how this is why I'm telling you, disease is tricky. It's tricky. It's going to try to catch you any way it possibly can to keep you down. That's what it's going to do. That's what it's been doing. You know, it don't mind ripping through you again. It don't mind taking what you done earned so far again. You know, you ain't using the tools. And that's just coming from me. You follow? You gave up on certain things. Like you got enough. It's never enough. It's one day at a time, daily. Morning, noon, and night. You know, giving up on drugs and alcohol is a part of the first task of recovery. That's just the first part, y'all. You know, then we have to learn how to feel love again so we can begin to love ourselves, so we can start cleaning up the mess we created with others. Part of surrendering. Hey, Anita. Yeah. You know, addiction is a disease. It's like not a moral failure. I like that when I read that. You know, that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. Our goal is to no longer slave to disease. No longer slave to addiction. Disease is like, to me, the master. You know what I mean? That wants slaves. You know what I mean? That's what it do. You're just a slave for it. You know, don't allow you to think. Don't allow you to do nothing. Do as I say and say as I do. You know what I mean? And this thing is in you. You know what I mean? This thing got your brain all toe up from the flow up. It got your heart all done up, where one don't even recognize the other. You understand? Just rips it right on out of our soul. You know what I'm saying? It rips souls apart. You follow? It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. Cunning, baffling, and powerful. You know, I put in here, let me see. How can I put this? I put notes down, and sometimes I have to go over them. All right, I'll skip that one. Recovery, I tell you, will free you from binges. It'll free you from drinking. Recovery will free you from drugging. Recovery will free you from blackouts. Recovery will free you from regrets. Recovery will free you from shame. Recovery will free you from pain. You know what I'm saying? You know, getting clean will allow you to know it was never fun you were having. It will definitely help you to become honest, be your authentic self, and feel happiness once again in your life. And this happiness is going to outshine the happiness that you thought that you had before you became an addict. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. You'll become that beautiful you. No doubt. It takes time to get there. You know, and you're going to go through some up and downs. But when you start feeling what that love feels like, you're going to fight for the love, not the sickness. You follow? You're going to become unslaved by the slave called disease of addiction. You know what I mean? And then we're going to slave the disease of addiction and put it in remission. You know, so it can't do what it wants to do to you no more, and you hold the check. Beautiful place to be. Beautiful place to be. The best thing I've done in my life was to get sober. You know, I took accountability. That's one thing we have to do. That's another thing that comes through people who swear they got this thing down pat. They don't even hold accountability. Accountability with themselves. You know, I took accountability for my own actions. I made amends to people. You know what I mean? I found a higher power. You know what I mean? That brought me so closer to God. You know what I mean? That he's first in my life and always will be. I can say that today. You know what I mean? He helped change my thinking physically, mentally, and spiritually. You know what I mean? He gave me life. You follow what I'm saying? You know, and is allowing me, you know, gave me serenity, and is allowing me to understand all of it. You know, understand all of it, and give me the choice to what you want. Do you want that what it was, or do you want that what it is? You know, I choose is. I choose is. You know, becoming willing to change my life and I won't allow disease to have me backfire on myself. You know what I mean? I won't have people either, you know, that comes in my life and, you know, make things a habit, you know, for me. You know what I mean? When I surrendered and I started holding myself accountable for things and I chose to live the recovery life, you know, God gave me all those precious things, you know, the love, you know what I mean, praying, you know, all these things that keeps me lifted up, you know what I mean, and allow me to love myself more than I've ever loved myself before. And most importantly about all of this, it allowed me to love me so much that now I can love you. You know what I mean? I love people. I love trying to help people. You know what I mean? I try to help people, you know, get out that fire, you know, that they're in, you know, because we burning when we use, we burning when we become addicts and alcoholics, we burning up slowly, tortured, slaved. You know what I'm saying? And we don't even know really how it happened, you know? And it tricked us so many times that we thought we could stop. We tried to stop. We couldn't stop because disease is a freaking liar. You know what I mean? And it's the best of the best, you know, with the brain play. You know what I mean? And the heart freeze. You follow what I'm saying? And it keep us down. It keep us dirty. It keep us sinful. It keep us doing all the things that we never thought that we would do. You know what I mean? Not surrendering, not knowing how to pray, giving up on God. You know what I'm saying? All it needs to be done. You follow? And the only way we can do it and kicking his butt is to believe that we have a higher power greater than ourselves. And this disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. Hear me out. And we have to hold ourselves accountable, surrender, you follow, come to believe, you get me? you know, and start working on yourself and start working on to understand how disease works. You follow? And how did it get this way? Well, I'm going to tell you how it got that way. You invited it in. You invited it into your life. You know what I mean? As a friend. You thought this thing was good. You thought this thing was great. You know what I mean? You thought you could handle this thing, and it made you feel the same way until it was stealing everything in your soul, everything out of you. You didn't even know it. Don't trust it. Don't trust it. Don't even tempt it. Don't even tempt it. You got to come out of that lifestyle. I had to open up and learn. I had to open up to learn how to learn. I had to know and learn that I was unlearning. Make up words, y'all know. And then I had to learn how to relearn. Is it making sense? I had to learn how to learn that I was unlearning, and now I have to relearn how to learn. I tell you, this thing, our language is something else, y'all. It's something else. I truly don't miss the old me, though. I don't miss anything about the old me. I'm so high, you know, and on myself today. You know what I mean? I turned that word high. That get high word is such a terrible word, you know, in our lives. But I get high off of what I do today. You know what I mean? So I don't think about the high or what I did yesterday. You know what I mean? That's the battle that you go through with sickness. You got to learn how to keep it down. You got to learn how to keep it in remission. You know what I mean? I don't care what you got to make up and what you do. It works for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get high off this thing today. I get lit. You know what I mean? And when I go for another hit, trying to give you some information, education, I get lit again. And I stay high throughout this whole thing. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm giving back what I promised that I will give you and offer you. To all of you who wants to listen, to all of you who wants, you know, recovery in your lifestyle. You know, to exempt yourself from using drugs and alcohol. You follow, to understand what all this stuff is really all about. You know that it's never too late to get sober either. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how long you've been doing it. You know what I mean? I don't care how long you've been thinking it was this and it was that and it wasn't this. But you know truthfully in yourself there's something that was in your way of being wrong about what you are doing. You know what I mean? Being not right to what about you are doing. Like I said, you didn't have to be beating the kids and abusive to the kids, but you were verbally abusive. You know what I mean? You was physically abusive in your head and yourself on being the person who's supposed to be the mom, you know, or to be the dad, or to be the grandmom. You know, we put our moms through being a second time around mom, or aunt being a second time around mom. You know what I mean? We can't handle it. You know what I'm saying? We use them for money, you know, like welfare and all that kind of stuff, knowing we ain't got them. You know what I mean? Because we're liars and manipulators, and we'll try any kind of way. It doesn't matter who's in the way. Hell, we'll say mom is sick and get money for her too. You know what I mean? This thing is vicious, you know? And there's so many ways it's out here to enable us and offer us all this. You know what I mean? We're going to keep on using it and keep on getting it. Some of us don't make it. We die. You know, we die. I say that because this is what I see all the time. This is why my heart is so strong for this. We don't have to die like that. We don't. You know, we especially when we can make a choice not to. And I thank my higher power that I made that choice for myself. You're not too old to get high. You're not too old to get in recovery either, or choose recovery. You know what I mean? Like I said, no pain, no gain. That's basically what I was saying earlier. And that's coming with it. If it's the right time, it's perfect timing. Remember I shared that. It's the time. Now is the time. You know, personally, yesterday was the time, but we stay into today. So now is the time for you to surrender, you know, and to think about, you know, whether or not you want to live or you want to die, you know, because that's basically what you're doing. You know what I mean? Hey, Venus, how are you? Hey, Francis, how are you? You know, hey, look, we all look. I am so grateful. I see all you guys coming on here. Y'all know our air. Our air was rough. Y'all know how we was. Y'all know we made a lot of bad choices, but we also seen a lot. You know what I mean? From our moms and dads and sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles and in society, out on the street. We all hung out there. We all did these things. You know, all of us, some of us didn't. Thank God you didn't. You know what I mean? And, you know, we've been through the storm. You know, help me share this with people. You know what I mean? All of us have a story. All of us. I think everybody in my generation did. You know what I mean? Just like this generation, Jesus Christ. You follow me? In my sister's generations, you know, in every generation, there's stories. You know what I'm saying? In everyone. It is no shame to the game in where we've been. What's most important is that we don't do it today. You know what I mean? That we found that God and now we believe and now we have something to look forward to of living. You know what I'm saying? I have no shame to the tricking. I have no shame to the stealing. I have no shame to being, you know, not being able to take care of my kids like a mother's supposed to take care of their kids. Why? Because I got it back. And I do that today. I did it from the day that I surrendered. And I went through the storm with my children. I went through the storm with my family members to try to get them to believe in me again. You know what I mean? But I also knew how to not let that be in the way of what I was doing for me as well, all the way to this day. You follow what I'm saying? I was not in my right mind responsible enough to be a mother. I wasn't even responsible enough. I lost me first before I lost everything else. That's the thing. You're going to lose you first before it takes everything else away from you. That's when disease conquers, when it got you. Of course, everything else going to get taken. That thing was so cunning, baffling, and powerful, it didn't even make me feel shame at the time of using that I left my children in the house by themselves. I left them fending for themselves. You know? Couldn't give them what they used to have or what they were used to getting. Had a reason and excuse for everything. Swearing I didn't let them see what I was doing, my oldest boys. Swearing they couldn't see. They couldn't tell the story if they tried. They remember it all. And I didn't find that out until way after the fact. Ain't that something? But disease made me think in my heart that I was protecting them, not letting them see things. But all along, they was little humans. Y'all hear me? These babies that we have, these children that we have, they're human too. And they have emotions, you know what I mean? And they have feelings, you understand? Just like we do. And they can be hurt very easily and very quickly. And they can feel your lies. They can feel your suffering. You understand? They can see you're disintegrating. They can see all these things that's happening to you. But disease blinds us. You know, where we can't hear, listen, nor see. You know what I mean? We the ones that don't see none of it. It's horrible, isn't it? Horrible. Addiction steals everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It takes everything from you. But on the other hand, recovery hands it all back to you. You follow what I'm saying? And more. You know, it gives it back to you piece by piece when you come to believe in the power of addiction. When you come to believe in a higher power greater than yourself, it definitely helps you to restore your sanity. Absolutely. And I tell you, you start getting piece by piece back, day by day, one day at a time. You follow? Now, I tell disease, remember this shit. Okay? A good day is when everything goes well and you don't use. That's still a good day. A great day is when everything goes wrong but you still don't use. That's a great day. You follow? So if everything is not going well, it's part of it. It's the triggery of disease. But for as long as you don't use, that's a good day for you. You hear me? If it's going wrong, or it's not doing right, you know, and you don't use, that's a great day. May not feel like it's great, but it's great because you did not pick up. You did not use. That had popped up in my head to put that way one day. You know. And another thing, even if you can't see the light right now, your light is going to continue to shine. Don't let this thing blow the candle out. Don't let this thing take your light. The light at the end of the tunnel is beautiful. It really is. We just got to get through the storm of it. That's what we have to do. We have to get through the storm of it. You know, I hope y'all follow me. Let me see some hearts if y'all follow me where I'm going at. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure that I'm giving you some information that can help you, you know, help yourself and help somebody else. You know what I mean? Anita, how you doing, girl? I see you. You just said a mouthful. Trust yourself first. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? Hi, Sherelle. How you doing? You know, Kelly, how you doing? Thanks for being on. Jackie, Jacqueline, thank you. Venus, thank you. Marquise, what's up, Marquise? You know, I told you to send me a star. Antoinette Gordy, hey girl, I had a great time with you in the drugstore. You know, hey y'all, this thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful. It's a powerful thing, you know, and it's powerful information that will allow you to put this thing in remission and to help you put your life in order. You know what I mean? You just got to keep moving with it. So if there's someone who's watching tonight and heard some hope, you know, to have the will of facing this disease, shout it out. That's what I'm asking you to do. Shout it out, you know, to us, you know, right now. You know you are among family because I consider this live family strong, and you're always welcome to the couch. Hey, Francis, I ain't seen you in a while, you know. Venus, hey, look, I would love to have you on this show, too. You too, Francis. You know what I mean? Y'all know we go way back. Come on. Come on here and sit on the couch. We can do it video style. You can sit on your couch and I can sit on mine. You know what I mean? For anybody who's on this show that wants to come through, you know, with anything that you choose, you know, to come through. You know, we're family on this show. You know what I'm saying? And we're winners. You know what I mean? We use it in the, you join, you know, and you join the positive battle of disease. You know what I mean? It'll help you surrender. It'll give you a whole lot of insights and acknowledgments of things you can't see within yourself. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't no shame to the game either. Hey, this thing vicious out here today. This thing is off the hinges. You hear what I'm saying? We losing somebody all the time, every day. You know what I mean? We walk past these people every single day, which is somebody's mom, child, grandmom, mom, sister, brother, you know what I mean? You got people out here filming them and shit. I think you should take a minute and understand what you're doing to somebody else's heart who's hurting for these people that's out here suffering. You know what I mean? This thing is vicious, it's cunning, baffling, and powerful. You hear what I'm saying? And today, I can say this, today, I know this, and today, I'm going to share this. And I hope I can help anybody who wants to be helped. You know what I'm saying? Please, please, come through. Come on, make a meeting. You understand what I'm saying? If you need help, go to a rehab. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a fight, but you got to start the fight. You got to start the fight. You got to take you back from the enemy. You know? We have the knowledge of this. A recovering addict. We walk the walk so that we can talk the talk. You follow? Nobody has to act as if they know more than the next, because every little bit you know is going to help somebody. Every little bit I know is going to help somebody. This is not a challenging game or who is smartest and who wants to be the most impressive. If you're doing all that shit, you're still stuck in the tunnel. I'm going to tell you, boy, I tell you, you got to, you know, well, I'm just on here to try to help you put that sickness in remission, y'all. That's all, you know. Hey, Javal, you know. Hey, Mart, you know. I'm just feeling it tonight as I feel it every time I talk and share about recovery. You know, because I want y'all to see that this thing works. I want y'all to see that I'm living proof. I want y'all to see it works if you work it. You know what I mean? I want y'all to know. I know all, hey, Reverend William Rocky Brown is up in the house. Hey, you know, I want y'all to, hey, Sherelle, you know, I want y'all to know that the life I live today, it's being talked about. It's being tempered. I could care less. You follow what I'm saying? Because I have a direction. You understand? I have a master. You follow? And it shows that it works if you work it, because I feel it. And I know that it's working through me. You know what I mean? I understand with the wisdom to know the difference, how some people just will never let it go. It's okay. It's okay, because I'm going to keep on and keep on today loving me. That's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? So I can love on you. You hear what I'm saying? Because I know I got this walk for a reason. Trust that. You follow what I'm saying? I know once I found me, I'm on my way. I am on my way. And the most important thing about it is I'm willing. And I love it. I love it. I love it with all my heart. I really do. You know what I mean? I can't even leave the freaking job. You know, I love this thing so much. You follow what I'm saying? As long as I can go, I'm going to go. You understand? God give me the strength to keep going. I'm going to keep going. You understand what I'm saying? The devil throwing all kinds of shots at me. All this lupus and all this other stuff. Well, guess what? It ain't going to make me want to get high today. It's going to make me stronger, because I know I have to be even stronger to stay well. You understand what I'm saying? I know I have to keep this up here right and in contact with where it should be in contact, okay, to help me survive what I'm going through. You follow? So yes, I'm an addict, but I'm a grateful recovering addict today. That's what I am. Anybody can try to put the numbers together and the years together. I don't care about all of that. I know today that I tell the truth to me. I know today that I've made a lot of change in my thinking. You know what I mean? And I still have much more to change, you know? But one thing I'm not going to do, and I could say to you, is pick up, not today. I will not use today. I will not do it, you know? And I hope I'm inspiring someone that's watching. You know, I hope I'm helping families to understand, coming from the horse's mouth, You know what I mean? How this thing works. Don't give up on your loved ones. I'm not saying to let them come in and do all this and do that, but for every time they say, I'm ready to quit or I'm trying, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it, because it could be their time. It could be their right time. You understand what I'm saying? Because we all have one. We all have one. Please understand that. You know, and when you see these people out here who are suffering off of fentanyl and all this stuff out here, they can't help what they looking like. They don't even know. They don't have a clue. They don't have a clue. They can't see. And they can't hear even when you're trying to help them. You follow? This is just not, you know, something to look at, laugh at, and talk about. This is something to pray, try to help. You know what I mean? And love on these people. You know? You'd be surprised. You look up, it'd be one of your kids. You'd be surprised. You look up, it'd be one of your grandkids. You'd be surprised. You look up, and it's somebody who you love. You understand? Because this thing is tricky, and we acting people. You hear what I'm saying? We are actors and actresses. You understand? We could be living that functional, what you call functional lifestyle, talk from the flow up. Toe up from the flow up. This thing is vicious. It's vicious. Hey, Janae. How are you? How are you? Adrian, how are you? You know, y'all, I try to keep up with, you know, catching some people's name. Sandy. What's up, my sister? You know, let me see who else I can get off of here. Amir. What's happening with you? Amira? Hey! You follow? Oh, I just love this. I do. Y'all got to keep trying to. And I know y'all see me on my Annette, did I say hello? Hey, Lauren, Marta, Anita, Tia. Hey, Tia. Good to see you again. Hey, look, did I tell y'all gonna be seeing my face all over? Y'all gonna be seeing me on Reels. Y'all gonna be seeing me on them little shout outs. You know, but let me let y'all know. I know y'all seen my On the Eye Reels. Well, next month, it's gonna be some real nice ones that's gonna be coming on. You know what I mean? I always have to give the people who helps me and work with me the time that they need, you know, because they do it right out of their hearts for me, you know, voluntarily, because they love what we're doing. Hey, sis, how are you? I'm going to call you, too, after this, HUD. And I appreciate everybody who puts their hand in and their finger in helping me with this live, you know. And I appreciate all of you that keep encouraging me to keep encouraging you and to still suffering. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know, this can't be done alone. It takes others, you know, to want to help others, you know, in any way, shape, and form that we can. Again, I appreciate everybody, you know, for coming on. I am going to start, you know, labeling the topics of this, you know, and I hope I stayed in the matter of, you know, getting ready to level up. You know, we have to be prepared to know some things before we can even start some things. And the ones of us who have already started and surrendered, you know what I mean? I hope I said enough to let you know and inform you of some of the things that can happen. You know, your feelings and emotions and how tricky and crazy and cunning and baffling disease is, you know, when it makes you feel, you know, like, you know, man, is all this worth it? Yes, it is. You know, like I said, it's no pain, there's no gain. You know, because at the same time you're fighting this sickness is also fighting you to continue to kill you. You know what I mean? So this is very important to learn how it works, you know, and again, I try to share it in our language so that you can hear me, you know, and understand, you know, in a better way. You know, sometimes we can through books and, you know, situations like that, you know. So anybody who wants to surrender tonight, come on, surrender. You know what I mean? Say it. Say, I want to surrender. You know, or if anybody that heard anything, say it. You know, let me see that it's working. You follow what I'm saying? Show me that, you know, you hear me. You know, show me that you got something from it. You know, don't just lay in the back, say something. You follow? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay for somebody to see your name. It's okay. You know, because in God's eyes, you're just helping. In God's eyes, you're being a blessing. You understand what I'm saying? You know, this is a part of the way of the world today. You know what I mean? And he always had the way to fix it. He always had the way to have people soldier for him and service for him to try to help the still suffering, you know, from the blind that can't see, from the deaf people that can't hear, you know what I mean, from the ones who don't know how to listen, you know what I mean. Some of you are hearing it, listening, you know what I'm saying, and now you're starting to see it. Let that be known. It's okay. Let it be known. You know, show that you are grateful for this. You know what I mean? Show that, you know, you are a part of helping to save people. You know, show your empathy and sympathy. You know what I mean? You know, let them know. You know, I'm going to send you some hearts because I am so grateful that you come on to even listen to me. You know what I'm saying? I am so grateful that you are allowing me to fulfill my task that I promised God that I would get back if he would just help me that one night, you know, from that cocaine 40 years ago. You know, and I have not picked that thing up again. You know, so I'm going to send these hearts out to you because I thank you so much. I don't know how this thing works pretty much sometimes because I'm pushing this thing from one side to the next. I saw some, it's like every time I go from one side, I go to another side. Hey, Marion, you know, Rosetta, Janae, Adrian, because I have two sizes this thing is doing. Don't ask me. I don't know why, if it's on because I use the Wi-Fi, you know, and then I use my phone to keep up. Jacqueline, hey girl, I knew you would be there. Celine, I see you. You know, Kiana, thank you all the time. You know, and I hope your friend got on. You know, if not, I'm still going to give him a call. I just didn't want to start messing with this thing because I'm a little confused in how you do it because it hasn't been in a while. You know what I mean? I just didn't want to mess everything up. Thank everybody who sent me stars tonight. I appreciate that. That's a blessing. KK, I know we have to get back together again. You know, again, I'm going to keep titling these episodes from here out. You know, this is like, get ready to level up. You know, I see the stars, hearts coming down. I appreciate you guys so much. I really do. And again, you know, keep coming back. It works if you work it, you know, and keep listening, you know, and share this. Who is this? Is Jeff David, ESPN College Football. Is that what that is? Sure is. I don't know. I might have grabbed something off of this thing. I think I grabbed something else up. You know what? I probably changed the whole scene on that. But, okay, y'all. I'm going to say thank you for the hearts. I love the hearts. Y'all know I love the hearts. You know, Teresa said Diana Allen and 2 others are watching. Oh, okay. That's one of those. I don't even know why that happens on there. But, y'all, I know I'm coming to that time, you know, and I appreciate y'all's support all the time. You know, please keep coming back. And please bring on ones who you know and you feel that needs to, you know, watch this, you know, and learn some of this. Get with me. Come on the couch, y'all. I just said this month I was going to sit down and I was going to do solo episodes. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I miss it. You know what I mean? I miss it a lot. You know, so I said the month of September, recovery month, because that's what this is. You know what I mean? I was just going to sit down and give some one-on-ones, you know, with this. Rocky, you are so welcome to come back, my brother. You know, thank you for the God bless, you know, and stay on your mission. You definitely helped this mission much, much more than you know, so thank you for coming on. All right, y'all, I know time is rolling. I don't want to, you know, keep everybody, you know, no longer than we have to. Y'all know me. I can go on for the rest of the daggone night. Don't matter to me, you know. And let's pray, you know, every day, you know, for the still suffering addicts and alcoholics today, y'all. I just saw that thing. I want to even send myself stars. Oh, shoot. What did I do? Oh, here it is. I don't know how I did that either. See, I just knocked that off the whole screen. You know, and I don't know how I did it. But, again, I thank everybody, you know, for all your support. I thank you for your stars that you sent. You know, thanks for all the hearts that you're sending. I appreciate them every time that you are on here. Y'all check out my reels, you know, and everything. And please, please, please share this. If everybody push share, we're going to touch a whole lot more people. Okay? You don't have to just share this once. Share it at least once a week. You know, I mean, once every day. You know, help me help people. Y'all are doing that. You're doing it big. Just if you come scrolling through the Facebook, share it again. Share it again. It matters. It works. Okay? Don't stop sharing it. Share it some more. Okay? I appreciate you all. I really do. I like to stop and move on with the serenity prayer. God grants me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God wills, not ours. I'll see you guys next week with another awesome episode of Living in My Truth.